Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Yes, I have returned from my 2-week hiatus to serve you some of my deep fried, piping hot, spicy, flavorsome, crispy K-pop opinions. That's right, not only was I suggested being a circus performer and a countryside ranger on that one career quiz thing I did, but I also got the job of a chef. So step aside Gordon Ramsay, step aside Felix from Stray Kids, because guess what? I'm the 5-star Michelin now. And yes, I am aware that the trend of giving your K-pop opinions is more overdone than this piece of steak. Okay, I'll stop with the food references now. But at the same time, am I the one who clicked on this video? No, you did, so be quiet. Just to clarify, this is not an unpopular opinion video, mostly because when I look at my unpopular opinion videos now, I realize that most of the opinions I give aren't actually unpopular, and I don't want to seem like one of those people who pretends to be all quirky and then says the most basic things. These are simply some opinions that I have regarding K-pop and the overall community surrounding K-pop that I think are relatively interesting and will cause some discussion. I'm going to keep the disclaimer short and sweet. These are my opinions. If you don't know what an opinion is, look it up before you decide to try and cancel me. Thanks. Anyways, without further ado, let's just get into it. I understand why people get tired when certain concepts get really overdone. Obviously, it can be annoying to get what seems like the same song over and over, but it also gets annoying to see people constantly complaining every single time a certain concept starts trending and then getting mad when it eventually goes away. When the cute concept was super abundant in K-pop, people complained about it, nagging groups like Twice to change their concept. Then girl crush became really common amongst girl groups, and suddenly everyone misses the cute concept and finds girl crush boring. It's this constant cycle of people wanting a concept, it becoming popular, and then them getting tired of it, that concept being replaced with another trend, and then people wanting the old trend back. And it's just got to the point where I feel like people just need to accept that trends are and will always be a thing. Companies are going to want to emulate what's popular so that their groups can have successful releases, and I think people just need to accept that, or they'll find themselves not enjoying anything that their faves put out. Okay, before anyone comes out and attacks me, allow me to fully explain myself. I'm not saying that they should completely abandon their red side. I mean, literally, I said in my 2021 K-pop wishlist video that I wanted a summery Red Velvet comeback, and I mean, they're called Red Velvet for a reason. What I mean by this is that I wouldn't be upset if in a way they slightly matured their red side and never went as cutesy as they did with, for example, Rookie. I actually like Rookie as a comeback and a lot of cute concept type Red Velvet songs, but the main reason I'm saying this is that Irene has expressed in the past that she prefers doing more mature concepts, which is understandable. She's literally nearly 30 years old, so she's probably not that interested in doing really cutesy concepts anymore. Even though Red Velvet has some amazing cute songs that will remain iconic treasures in their discography, I would much rather see them performing with concepts that they actually enjoy. From my personal experience, I just find groups in K-pop much more interesting and easy to get into than soloists, which isn't to say that I have anything against soloists. I do stan a few soloists, especially Sunmi. She's like one of my favorite soloists. And I listen to a lot of music by soloists, But unless an idol became a soloist after leaving a group that I already stand, I can't really see myself feeling as invested in a soloist as I am with any of the groups I stan. One of the things I really enjoy about K-pop is the fact that there are so many groups. You can really get to know idols as personalities by watching the way that the members interact with one another. And overall, I just really like the wholesome chemistry in groups. I also really like how groups can utilize their talents and various tones of the members in their music, and also have amazing formations and choreographies. And yes, I know that most soloists have backup dancers to do those formations, but there's always just one person being the centerpiece, which is a bit more limiting, at least from what I've seen. And as I said, I like a lot of soloists and I respect them for their charisma and capability to carry an engaging performance without having to rely on anyone else. I just find groups in general more appealing. I hear a lot of people saying that Twice are losing their hype, and most of them think that that's because they peaked in 2019. And yes, Fancy and Feel Special were some of Twice's most well-loved and iconic tracks. And yes, Twice's 2020 releases were perhaps not met with as much enthusiasm as their 2019 ones, but they were still really successful. For example, their most recent album, Eyes Wide Open, was certified as platinum on the Gaon chart after selling 250,000 copies. Both More and More and I Can't Stop Me have a decent view count, and More received more music show wins than both Fancy and Feel Special, with a total of 9 wins to compare to the 3 and 7 wins of Fancy and Feel Special respectively. I don't think all of the people who say Twice are losing their hype think this way, but I think it's safe to say that at least some of them just have a deep-rooted hatred for Twice, and so enjoy the idea of them losing their popularity. I hate to break it to you, but I really don't see that happening anytime soon.
My love is
One of the things that I love about G-Idol is how involved they are in writing, composing and producing their own music. And obviously they're not the only group who does this. We also have groups like BTS, Stray Kids, etc. who are very heavily involved in the songwriting process. But I just think that it's really cool when artists create their own music. It makes the listening experience overall a lot more personal because you're hearing lyrics that are the group's own words and you know the sound of the song is theirs. I also just find it interesting to look at the different styles of composing from certain idols. When it comes to G-Idol, we all know that Soyeon is the main composer, producer, lyricist, everything to do with creating music, and her songwriting skills never fail to amaze me. She's just really talented, and honestly G-Idol has one of my favourite discographies of 4th gen K-pop. Soyeon has been heavily involved in all of G-Idol's title tracks and the majority of their B-sides, but Minnie has also demonstrated her abilities in songwriting through songs such as Blow Your Mind, in which she wrote with Flobo and Soyeon and co-composed with Flobo, as well as her more recent work with Dahlia on the I Burn mini album, which she wrote with Breadbeat and Soyeon and co-composed with Breadbeat. And I'm honestly obsessed with both of those songs. Blow Your Mind has quite a unique vibe to it in my opinion, especially the first few lines. The instrumental is very minimalistic at the start and relies heavily on the vocals, and I just think it has a very interesting feel, and I just really like the song as a whole. Dahlia is starting to become my favourite G-Idol B-side. It is just so enchantingly beautiful. So yeah, I would really love to see Minnie producing more G-Idol songs in future because it's clear that she's talented in that field.
forever, 예쁜 돈만 주고 싶어.
I made a whole video on this topic a while ago which basically discusses whether it is morally wrong to consume and support K-pop when you know how bad the industry is. And I kind of gave that argument a chance in the video, but the more I think about it, the more I realise how ridiculously hypocritical it actually is. I touched on the hypocrisy of that argument in that video, but I kind of just wanted to elaborate on it here. If you're someone who is open about liking K-pop, it's not unlikely that you've had someone say that you shouldn't like it because the industry is bad or that you're a bad person for liking K-pop. And yes, I won't deny that by investing our time and money into consuming K-pop content, we're indirectly supporting an industry that has a lot of issues with it. But the truth is, the majority of people living in MEDCs with a decent income are also supporting toxic industries every single day, and that includes the people who try to make other people feel bad for listening to K-pop. Let's take the food industry, for example. Just to let you guys know, I'm a meat eater. I'm not vegetarian, pescatarian, vegan, or anything like that. So please don't take this as me trying to act like that vegan teacher here. But I will admit that by eating meat and animal products, I am in fact supporting an industry that doesn't treat animals super kindly. Am I going to change my diet? No. Am I going to have a go at other meat eaters and guilt trip them into changing theirs? No, because it's not my business what other people eat and they're allowed to eat what they want as long as it's legal. But I will say that I'm sure not every person who criticizes K-pop fans because of the industry is vegan, which means that they are essentially doing the exact same thing as K-pop fans are by willingly consuming things from a toxic industry. And even if they were all vegan, there are many other industries that people support regularly which are not exactly 100% ethical. You probably own or have owned at least one item of clothing that was made by some 7-year-old child working in a sweatshop for below the minimum wage. And it's not just physical products, the entire entertainment industry is filled with corruption. Hollywood has a very unsettling history that no one seems to want to talk about. Even some kids' television shows have dark sides to them. I was never someone who watched stuff like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, but I have heard of the Nickelodeon show Victorious, and I'm sure many people watching this video have as well. The show starred Ariana Grande and was overall very popular, but there are a lot of very uncomfortable scenes in which cast members are being sexualized, particularly Ariana Grande, who was just 16 years old during the filming of season 1. They had her doing things like sucking her own toes and putting fingers in her mouth in a suggestive way, and it's just really unsettling to watch, especially as someone who's a few months away from 16 years old myself. There are a number of creepy instances surrounding Dan Schneider, the show's producer, and the whole thing is just very, very dodgy. There's a video by It's Keisha which goes into further detail on this, which I will link in the eye in the corner. And yet, despite all these creepy issues, no one who watches or watched Victorious receives any of the guilt tripping that K-pop fans receive. Basically, it all boils down to one question. Why are we expected to sacrifice the entertainment we like to avoid supporting a bad industry when others aren't? The answer is that people are being hypocritical and using the industry argument to hide their initial bias against K-pop because it's quote-unquote cringe. And that brings me to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it and that it was somewhat interesting to you. If you have any thoughts or things to add to my opinions, things you agree with, things you disagree with, feel free to leave a comment down below as I would love to hear your thoughts. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys next time. Bye.